First aye.
Marvel, aye.
Gary, aye.
And Moffat, aye. Motion passes. Statement by President that no votes were taken in executive session.
Mr. President, Councilman Hurst, I make a motion that the minutes of the executive session be sealed.
All in favor?
Hurst, aye.
Marvel, aye.
Gary, aye.
Moffat, aye. Motion passes. All right. I'd like to call the 7 o'clock Hopkinton Town Council meeting of August 2nd, 2021 to order with a moment of silent meditation and a salute to the flag. Let's go.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Up first, consent agenda.
Mr. President, I make a motion, I request the town council meeting minutes of July 19, 2021 be removed from the consent agenda. I think, I don't know if I misspoke or not, but on page 13, no, page 12, excuse me. On the bottom, it says Councilor Hurst felt this resignation was not a typical resolution. It should be resignation. I don't know if I misspoke or not, so I asked that be changed from resolution to resignation, and I've spoken to the deputy town clerk before the beginning of the meeting about that change. I don't know if any other councilor has any other changes. Hearing none, Mr. President, I make a motion that with that correction, the town council meeting minutes of July 19, 2021, and the rest of the consent agenda be adopted.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Hurst, aye.
Marvel, aye.
Gary, aye.
And Moffat, aye. Motion passes. Okay, up next is the public forum. We've moved the public forum up to the beginning of the meeting tonight. So how about it? Whoever's ready to speak. Joe Moreau, please. Yeah, just state your name for the record, Joe, please.
Hi, this is Joe Moreau from Old Depot Road. Good evening. It's nice to be back in person, face to face, or mask to mask, whichever you prefer. The important thing is that we're in the same room. I have a question. Speaking of discussions, on the agenda, as you just mentioned, the public forum has been moved up. It's before new business and boards and commissions. Will I be able to comment on something after this public forum during that discussion? Or is it just for the council discussions when we get into new business?
The plan was just to be council discussion. I wanted to move everything up front to allow, anyone who wanted to speak to whatever was on the agenda to speak in the public forum.
So we'd have to speak now during the public forum.
If you would, please.
Okay. Because I believe at a previous council meeting, there was discussion to move the public forum to discuss the resignation letter from Harvey Buford. Councilor Hurst made a motion, it was seconded by Councilor Gary. Motion failed 3-2. So I just want to make sure that I follow the correct procedure. One item that was discussed at the 7/19 council meeting was the statue of Polish Park. I never heard of that park. I went there the next day after we had our council meeting. I went there this morning. The statue has been taken down. It's in the process of being turned around. It's facing the road. As a vet, I have a lot of concerns when it comes to military statues, Vietnam Memorial Wall, and so forth. I don't know how many council members have been to, it's actually called Polish American Citizens Club statue. There's 39 names on that statue in very small print. Even with my glasses, it was difficult to read. I noticed 2 small stone benches and 2 wooden benches that are there, and they're just in horrible shape. I would not want to sit in those benches. There is a low rail, probably about 2 feet off the ground. if someone with the statue being turned around, if someone went over that rail, they would land close to the road. That part of the road is a very dangerous road to begin with. When you're there, you have to park on the side road. And on one side of that road, there's no parking at all. So that limits that. Any park or memorial that I've ever visited, you can sit in the park or memorial and you can look at the names on that statue. I just don't understand the logic behind turning the statue away from the park. The bigger question is, and I'm glad he's here tonight, Frank Landolfi brought up the point about ownership. I don't know what the status is on the ownership of that. The last thing I want to talk about is and I know it's on the agenda tonight, is the Ashway Ambulance Corps request for an advance of funds. I've attended all of the budgeting workshops since 2019. This is my opinion. The reps from the ambulance corps will show up, make the presentation, and make it sound like we owe them that money. And sometimes they're looking for more. It appears to me that it really is like a family affair when you look at the parties involved. Our former town manager, Bill McGarry, had to withhold payments. A couple of you that were on the council probably recall that. He had to withhold payments until they got the correct paperwork. They didn't have the correct paperwork. So that's a concern that I have. At that time, there was also a bookkeeper and a treasurer, so it seemed like they were well-staffed to get the paperwork. I was recently told that there was also a check that was lost, so it seems like there's an issue with the procedures there. I'll be the first to tell you that I know very little about this organization. I also don't know about any financial audits that are done there either. The reason why I'm questioning that, as a taxpayer of our town, I think there should be a review and also an outside audit completed to review the entire operation. Now, I'm sure they do have some type of an audit, but when you look at our budget, I believe it was $52,000 that's dedicated to the ambulance corps. That's a lot of taxpayer dollars to go there. And I just would like to see an audit done to make sure that it's operating as efficiently as they can. I understand there's probably a lot of volunteers, and I want to thank the volunteers for their time and the people that are involved in that organization. Sometimes it's easy to stand here and criticize people. As I said, I don't have all the details. I don't know how it runs. But just looking at it from a business standpoint, that's a lot of money. And I'd like to see some type of accounting. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Joe.
Scott?
Yeah, I bought him that. I like the Red Sox, but what are you going to do?
I'm Jerry Zerilli, and I live at French Village. I have a property there, and I'm part of the French Village Partnership, and have been there for about 2 years. Anyway, I see on the agenda the mention of a letter from Hopkinton to Wesley, RI, the Potterville Dam. I'm wondering what phase we are at with the drafting of that letter.
That letter has been drafted and
It has
been
been
sent
drafted.
already, yes.
Can we hear it tonight?
It's going to be in my president's report, yep. I'm going to read it.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Fantastic. Is this a time to ask factual questions? I mean, what are we up to now, really? I know that's on the agenda, the letter. But I have a lot of factual questions about the outcome of tearing down the dam. And I've heard figures anywhere from 1.5 feet loss of water to 6 feet. And that has a huge effect. Obviously, that'll have 6 feet will have a huge effect on the character of the town, I would argue. It's a river town, right?
100%. So for informational purposes, I would say, for one, tomorrow night, there is a Potter Hill Dam Informational Committee meeting
Yes.
on the second floor of the Ashaway Fire Department.
Yes.
And I would direct your questions to the chairman of that board.
Okay.
They are studying it. There's a group of, I believe, 5 or 6 who have been meeting for almost the past month, gathering
Right.
information. So that's where you're going to get the best
Okay.
information from them.
All right. That sounds
And then you will hear in my letter, which You probably
Yes.
have Lisa post to the town website, maybe, just so residents can.
I'm eager to hear it.
Sure, excellent.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for your interest. Thank you.
Just state your name and address for the record, please.
Dennis Rivard, I'm also at the French Village.
Good.
I also have a lot of questions. You just tell Jerry here to direct them to a meeting tomorrow night.
I mean, that's where you can get your best. I believe, I'm not sure how current the there's minute meetings that you can go on the town website and pull up. They may be up to date. They may be a couple meetings behind on that. I'm not sure.
How willing is this committee willing to fight to keep that dam up? Is this a
This
priority
is-
for everybody here?
What's
The point is that the land that that dam is on is in receivership for the town of Westerly. And they are not interested in the maintenance and keeping it up, even if they were to repair it.
Then it should
At
be,
this
it should be,
point-
both towns should then make an effort to work together to keep
That's
this.
what we're trying to do.
That's
Because
what we're
the
trying to
reason why
do.
Can't work together. Everybody talks about working together, and if you can't work together, your neighbors for God's sakes.
I'm,
For informational purposes, but for informational purposes, I mean, the jurisdiction is Westerly. I mean, this letter that I've sent is requesting a meeting. They don't have to give us a meeting. They don't have to respond. They can just move on. It's how much is Westerly willing to allow Hopkinton to be part of this is pretty much what it's going to come down to.
I'm going to save my remarks until the council president's report on the letter. And I do have some views. I grew up in the area all my life, almost 70 years. So I will say some things. And if I don't behave myself, Bob Delinas will keep me in line. So what are you going to do?
You don't want to get a ton of action from them. I mean, I had all this prepared comments that I want to make, but apparently it's.
I mean, have you spoke with Bob at all? I mean, about any of this? All right, so I would just kind of hope that, he is on the committee,
Yes, I am.
so, he's been following, right along with that.
And we're fighting and we're fighting.
I did contact Reed and White House.
Please,
No
thank you,
response.
thank you.
Um,
No response.
I figured, if we get, have you guys tried to contact?
Oh, yeah, no, this letter is being sent out to about 16 individuals. All the state reps, to the Congress, to the Senate, to
I would also,
Westerly, the law, you name it, they're getting
I
on.
would also point out to Reed and White House that, Biden administration, you're just handing out money like it was candy.
But, see, that,
mean,
I think we're getting off
they're
topic
sending
here as
money
far as having,
overseas, spending money like drunken sailors, and they should make this part of a priority instead of sending money over to Planned Parenthood or overseas for the same reason. This should be a little more important than doing.
it is, but it's a local issue, and it's a town of Westerly issue, hoping that Hopkins is brought into it and we have a seat at the table. And we can- In a perfect world, sir, we would be there and they would be discussing this with us and they would be listening to every single.
What are the chances of them actually want to work together with you? And
I hope it's very, very good. I hope it's very good. And I will say, right now that I don't think that dam's staying up there, although, I would like to see them do something to fix it. I don't think that's going to happen. So, I don't want to, I feel like we're getting off topic and we're kind of jogging down the wrong area. We're having a meeting in a public forum about it. I'm trying to give you as much information as I possibly can. You still haven't heard my letter. Once you hear my letter, it's.
Yeah, I know, but in the meantime, I got to.
No, absolutely. I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm glad that you're here. It's important.
And another thing that I saw online is to adjust the flow of water, or the height of the water. It's like, just picture a door laying on top of the dam. The door has a tension on it, and when the water level rises, it just opens up, lets it out, so the pressure behind it is relieved, and then it comes back up. This is like perfect flood control. If Wesley would actually look into something like that instead of just
not knocking it down.
No.
Just so,
Whoever-
because
whoever.
I see a lot directed at the
Right.
town council as far as
So
this goes.
whoever.
It's really not
Right
in our
now,
purview.
you can cross to one side to the other side by your ankle.
Sure.
My well is only 12 feet down. I believe not even 3 months, I'm gonna lose my water. What's gonna happen? I got like 2 children at home. Somebody answer me?
We have to meet with Wesley. There's a process before this. There's nothing that we can do at this moment, sir. We are going to do what we can
But this
do.
being recorded, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I just wanna get time, when the time come, one more time, my feet 12 feet away, and I am gonna lose my water. Guess what? I'm raising 2 children, I am not paying that. My well is absolutely working just fine right now.
I'm sure it is.
And somebody deciding to knock this dam down and take my water away. And I'm gonna lose my water.
Thank you for commenting. I appreciate it. Is there anyone else?
Maybe I
That
can
would
say something else?
have at it? Sure.
If people start losing all their water, what if they just say, I'm not gonna pay my taxes? The town took away my water, or Wesley helped take it away, you know,
This is a very different situation. I mean, we don't, like I said, in a perfect world, this is what would happen. And you know, we don't live in a perfect world. I mean, we are gonna, in this meeting, I mean,
we just need you guys.
we
to fight
are, give us a
keep that
chance.
dam
That's the
down.
thing. I can't hold a gun to their head. You know what I'm saying?
Well, why
Look,
not? Why not?
we sent, I get it. I mean, we sent them a letter. We're gonna hopefully have them sit down. We formed a committee with some pretty smart people that are on it who stepped up to volunteer to gather information. I would suggest that maybe we'll have the meeting tomorrow, and sit there and listen to what they're discussing. Because at the end of the day, I mean, it's a civil issue, isn't it, Steve? I mean, I'm gonna,
Well,
maybe Steve can help us out here.
I mean, one thing that I could say is that the private landowners might have a remedy available to them through the court system that is a private legal action that might be possible if you're negatively affected by the removal of the dam. But that's a completely separate thing from what the town council is able to do. And it's certainly not something that would be in my purview to advise anyone on, but that is an option that the private landowners that are affected by this could explore.
Yeah,
Would be to hire a private attorney to look into what rights you might have in connection with this project.
But in the meantime, as a town council, we're submitting a letter asking for a meeting. You'll hear my letter shortly. We're going to ask the informational committee to be part of this. They're gathering all this information, and we're going to present facts to them. Wesley's they have a lot more money than we do. They have a lot more, and I truly, honestly, I'm not sure that the Wesley Town Council, they might even, this is the last thing on their radar, to be honest with you. I don't think they're really thinking about it.
but
But we are, for sure.
I think the council, if I can say this, and normally you're not supposed to talk during public forum, you're supposed to let the public talk. Because usually it's got to be a posted agenda item to follow the rules, but it's on the agenda as far as this letter goes. My belief is the council, as much as practical, and I know not everything is practical, to accommodate what the public wants, because to say, go out and say, go and get a lawyer. Lawyers don't come cheap. They get large hourly rates, with all due respect, and and you might win and you might lose. So you're out all that money if you lose. So it's best for the council, if they can, to try to advocate what the public wants.
And we're willing to do that.
Willing to advocate, absolutely.
I just want to mention another thing too, with the concerns about the fish coming back upstream. 2017 in October, they dug out a trench in front of that fish ladder because the fish were not coming up. Christopher Fox was in charge of that project. And they dug out 17 yards of material. And according to Fox, who's the executive director, said it was a success. You know, fish started climbing the ladder again. So it probably needs a good deep cleaning, you know, once again, to get that fish up there, or just rebuild the fish ladder.
Well, and this, again, you know, Westerly, so the dam and the building are a package deal. Okay, they want to use NOAA money and government money and, you know, in donations in kind, you know, whoever, you know, is for this to take it down. So it's a kill, you know, two birds with one stone thing for Westerly. You know what I'm saying? So that's Wesley's angle on it. We're hoping that and my feeling is we're really truly, and you know, you can disagree with me, but it's more of a mitigation situation where we want to advocate for the least amount of impact on wells, on property values, on fit. You know what I mean? We kind of want a happy medium. You know, me.
River level.
Well, 100%. I mean, they did Bradford, they did White Rock with minimal, you know, changes in all that. So that's, you know, that's the task that the Potter Hill Information Committee is on to turn over every single stone. So when we do present, that we have our ducks in a row and we are organized to do this, and we're not just, but we have the facts also. I mean, we can sling and, you know, say, you know, follow the money, do all this other stuff. But I mean, you know, they're applying for this grant to take down the mill, which is going to drag the dam into it. And that's their goal. And it's, as you know, I'm sure you've probably been in French Village for a while, I'm assuming.
I'm sorry?
Have you been in the French Village for a while? Assuming?
5 years.
Okay, 5 years. So
But I've been coming up here since,
Sure.
I mean, my best friend
Right.
here for
Yeah.
3 generations.
sure,
I've
absolutely.
been coming here ever since I was a little kid.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. Hey, I'm glad you're here because you know what? Too many times people show up when it's too late. It's not too late now. Okay. And I think we're trying to be a little proactive with it now. And hopefully,
We got a date set to knock it down in October 21st.
no, October, this is phases. Phase 1 ends in October. Phase 2, there's, again, if you go to the informational committee, they have all this information for you. Okay.
Send that letter out ahead of time so I could pick your brain. You know, read that. Tweak it a bit.
Sure.
Thank you.
What happened if I was January, I lost my water? Should I prepare dig another well right now, or January I lost my water, for example? Because I have 2 children now.
I
Should
understand.
prepare for
So
this?
I mean, this is, I suggest, if you're concerned, we go to the informational committee meeting tomorrow night.
Tomorrow at the fire station.
Right, at the fire station. There's nothing that we can do. There's
I
nothing,
just want to suggest him right now.
well, I'm not, and it's hard to answer a hypothetical question. I don't want to answer a hypothetical
Okay,
question
I
that,
understand that, but now I have to think about my family.
oh, absolutely.
If I lose my water January, February, what am I gonna do? What is
Well-
my legal right to West Side town?
Your right is to go after Westerly potentially, not the town of Hopkinton.
No,
Town
no,
of-
I understand that, yes. Do I have legal right to do that?
You have a legal right to pursue litigation against anybody. I mean, yeah, I mean, you could say you were harmed and you lost whatever based
So
on
you
that.
said
But
when
you could
they-
say that, but you have to prove it though, and that's the,
Absolutely, yes.
you know, so,
Absolutely.
yeah,
At that time, how am I gonna survive like 3 months in ground freezing that?
I'm gonna tell you right now, that dam's not coming down for a little while. This isn't
October, you
happening.
said,
No, it's not coming down in October. It's not.
a year something?
I don't know exactly. They're still going through their phases. I mean, they're still doing their engineering on all this other stuff. So again, get with the informational committee guys on Tuesday night. I mean, this is not to say it's secondhand that I don't know what I'm talking about, but if you want a clearer picture,
You
you
said,
need to go to the information committee and ask.
you
them.
said Bradford didn't change it.
They did a dam removal in Bradford and they did a dam removal in White Rock. And
The level changed?
no, because of the design in which they
Different.
replaced it. Exactly. They had
Different
step
ground.
downs and stuff like that to slow the flow of water down also. So again, if this is important to you and you want better information, I would stop by tomorrow night at at the Potter Hill Dam Information Committee. That you're gonna get,
Time is that at tomorrow?
it's 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
Okay.
I'll be there. I'm sure Scott will be there.
I don't miss two, I've only missed one, and that was when we
No,
were
there won't be
meeting.
3 of us there.
Yeah, I won't.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak in the public forum?
I'm gonna speak on the council presidents because I got something to say.
Okay. All right. So up next is the letter to the town of Wesley.
Yes, and I have a comment after you read it.
Go ahead. All right. This is in response to proposed Potter Hill Dam removal. Miss Pellegrini, the purpose of my letter is to request a meeting with the town of Wesley and its partners regarding the proposed Potter Hill Dam removal. The Hopkinton Town Council has appointed a committee to investigate the concerns of residents and would like this committee to be part of any meeting that may be agreed upon to discuss their findings. This matter was brought to the town's attention last March in 2021 when the town council was informed that a meeting was being held in Westerly. No notification was provided to Hopkinton officials. During the site visit, assurances were made that Hopkinton would be involved. Unfortunately, this has not happened. Hopkinton has had no seat at the table. Hopkinton residents are very concerned about the effects and consequences of dam removal and would like to ensure, what's that? That's because it's a redundant sentence. She sent you a copy
Okay.
that had a correction on it. It didn't have a correction on it. So Hopkinton residents are very concerned about the effects and consequences of dam removal and would like to ensure that it be done with great care and sensitivity to not only fish and wildlife, but the residents whose wells will be impacted and whose properties will be devalued. Serious consideration should be given to a dam removal plan and design like the one used in Bradford Dam and the Kenyon Dam removal that will have no impact on residents' well water, maintain water levels at or near current status, that will improve fish passage, that will remove the risk of dam failure, and that will have no loss of wildlife habitat. Hopkinton would like assurances from Wesley that funding has been planned for and will be available to Hopkinton families whose well may need to be replaced because it has failed. The town of Wesley has town water. The town of Hopkinton does not have this type of infrastructure. We have individual wells. I appreciate your consideration and attention to this matter of importance to the town of Hopkinton. Should you wish to contact me or correspond, correspondence may be sent out to my attention at the Hopkinton Town Clerk's Office, 1 Townhouse Road, Hopkinton RI, and I may be reached at my cell phone at 401-741-1276. Thank you. Sincerely, Stephen Moffett.
Has that been sent?
It has been sent, yes.
Okay, I just want to read something that I would have liked to included, but I just want to read it and I just updated it. And I will use this either in a letter to the editor or at maybe the meeting tomorrow night or any future meeting. This is what I think Hopkins should be adding. Hopkins would like a discussion on the dam retention as a possible option, and federal and state funds be explored. This especially so as the federal government is considering infrastructure legislation. In addition, within the river, the boundary of both Westerly and Hopkinton exists. And the thing is, if you look at, I think the state is blown off Hopkinton because when the town of Hopkinton was formed, and my ancestor was the first town clerk here, the boundary is inside the river. It doesn't, the boundary of the town of Wesley doesn't go right up to the edge in Hopkinton, it's in the river. You look at any maps, the boundary is inside the river. It's like in the middle of the river. So they should know, and the DEM has been stocking fish on the Hopkinton side, so they ought to know where the town of Hopkinton is. And this whole thing is ridiculous, and And I think that this is a very serious topic. And I also resent the suggestion that the Potty Hill Dam is the same as the one that existed in Bradford or these other sites, because the Potty Hill Dam was a pretty good sized dam. I know there's safety concerns and things of that nature, but I'd like to know what the tax assessors of Westerly and Hopkinton, because of the land values of people who own property bordering that river, they're gonna have a real estate loss, and that property is gonna go down. Because if you come to this area and you wanna buy property, then it's gonna be more tougher for you to sell your property because the value of the properties go down unless you have somebody from outside the area that just wants to get away from maybe New York or wherever they live, a 3 or 4 hour drive from here. But and I'm not ragging on you, it's just
no,
that
Scott, can I just add something though? I mean, and valid points, but at the same time, this process is moving forward. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, to your point of infrastructure money and all this other stuff, it's private, it's private property as far as they're concerned.
But I like to see,
I mean, not to give federal money to somebody's private property. You know what I mean? That's,
well, I realize that,
it's-
but people have wells and they've had people do projects for like low cost loans to do certain things. Like, I believe they did that down there when they had the septic situation down in Charlestown, concerning about contamination. The bottom line is, when you're a United States Congressman, a United States Senator, you should be responsive to the public. Rhode Island's the smallest state in the union, at least in land area, maybe not in population. So I think the council, what I want to see at the next council agenda, I want us to write a letter to the 4 members of Congress and say that we want, they're going to have infrastructure funds. We want some of the pie, and we want to assist the people in this town. And, you know, all these people talk about all this stuff that they have. We need to be inside the tent, and we're outside the tent. So I would respectfully suggest that we send a letter and say that if they're going to have this infrastructure and something's going to be adopted with the infrastructure, I don't know what it is, that we want a piece of the pie. In smaller towns in Rhode Island, because of aging infrastructure, whether it's dams or bridges or what have you, that we're part of the process, that it doesn't all go to Providence and all that. I know that's where the votes are, but we count down here too. Thank you.
sure. Thank you, Scott. All right. So just to kind of add to that, I mean, this letter is to get Wesley to the table. I mean, again, they don't have to show up. They can just blow us off. But I mean, I wanted to lay out what our intentions are, what we want to do.
Can you watch them bring them to court?
As a town,
Yeah,
I don't think that's really probably in our best interest. I mean, not in our interest. Maybe that's a wrong way to say it, but again,
whatever way you see it.
I'm gonna use these terms because this may be a term that people understand. Okay, when people were trying to fight some of the solar stuff,
Yep.
they had to go out and get, because they were afraid that their properties were going to be devalued. Right? You're worried your property's going to be devalued. They had to go out and hire their own attorneys. You know what I mean? We couldn't.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
I mean, it's one of those situations. It's
too bad. It's sad.
exactly. It's
sad
too
for
bad
this
is
country
right.
to do that to people.
That's right. Well, that's it. But that's how the world works, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
that's how the world
you
works.
get stepped on until you have to fight back, and sometimes you don't have the means to fight back. And you know what? You just keep
There
getting
you
stepped
go.
on. I get it.
You hit
I
it.
get it.
You hit it right on.
I
the
understand that, and that's
head. It's crazy.
it's not a. But that's the world we live in.
And that's
And
why
it-
people are tuning away from politicians. They're
I
tuning
get it.
out.
All
They're
right.
not
So
going out and voting.
all right. So with that being said, we're going to move on to new business. Okay. New business is number 1, discuss, consider, and possibly vote to award the bid for Department of Public Works uniform rental and cleaning to Swiss Uniform Services. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, so we were looking for a cleaning council. We were looking for you, Public Works, and the town was looking to award a 3-year bid for the uniform material rental and cleaning. We received 2 bids from Universe and Swiss Uniform Services, and the bids weren't even close in comparison. We got a bid from Universe for $235 a month, and Swiss Uniform for the same services was about 125 a month. So it was kind of a no-brainer, and I trust you guys, my letter, and Public Works Director Dave Caswell's letter.
Yep.
That we recommended going with Swiss Uniform Services.
Excellent.
Brian, is for somebody that wore the most horrible uniforms for 16 years, is Dave happy with this company?
Yes, yeah. He,
Well,
I mean, if you see.
Because
his
anything,
letter,
anything he hates is if you're a size 38 waist and a 30 pants, you continuously get 36 waist and 38 leg. Trust me, it's horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah,
16
so
years
I
of that.
basically just went with his
Horrible
recommendation.
company.
You know, unless there was a financial.
Okay.
Something involved where it was at the lowest bid, that's where I would kind of get involved. He went with Swiss Uniform, so I just complied.
As long as he's happy in that company.
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion.
Yeah, let's go ahead, Sharon.
I'd like to make a motion to award the bid for the DPW uniform rental and cleaning to Swiss Uniform Services.
Counselor Hurst, second.
All in favor?
Hurst, aye.
Davis,
Marvel, aye.
Gary, I.
And Moffat, aye. Motion passes. Thank you. All right, up next, number 2, discuss and consider and possibly vote on a request from Ashway Ambulance Association for an advance on the quarterly disbursement from the town's grants and contributions department line. Item line number 5160-032.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Eric Perrin, 4 Pine Terrace in Westerly. That's my actual address. I'm treasurer of Ashway Ambulance Association. And looking at our bills tonight, we're getting low on funds. And a year or so ago, I requested an advance about a week early. And I wanted to approach the town council tonight and ask that our next payment, next quarterly payment grant money is, I think, the 1st of September, the next quarter. That we may need it earlier than that. Why? Everyone wants to know the answer why.
Sure.
We did get a PPP grant this year, about $30,000. I received a letter 2 weeks ago that it was forgiven, which is great. It's gone. Payroll, gone. Over the years, I was talking to Franklin Duffy earlier this evening. He was on the council for 10 years, I believe he said. And in those 10 years, the town council's given us the same amount for all these years. Unfortunately, payroll's going up, insurances have gone up. Last month, we had an ambulance go down, had to repair. We just had some more work done on an ambulance because we have state inspections coming up. So the state of Rhode Island comes down and inspects our ambulances for not only medical supplies, but safety inspections. Brake pads need to be done. These are things that we can't just go, we'll wait till next month to do it. Something breaks on that ambulance, it's fixed, we're taking on the service. We don't have an option. I had a water pump go down, no water in the building last month. I had to call a plumbing guy, $1,300 bill. So these are things that we don't and cannot control. Costs have gone up and we can't control it. So we're on a fixed income. We're like so many people in this country on fixed income. Someone said $52,000 is a lot of money. $52,000 used to cover payroll years ago for Ashway. And again, we don't have 24-hour coverage paid. We can't afford it. Never have been able to. Last year's payroll was closing in on $140,000. So the 2 grants we get don't cover that. So we get a fire district grant and a town grant. Doesn't cover payroll. So never mind the fuel bill every month from the town, taxes, all these things we have to pay for, including we have a professional group that does our billing every month, both for medical billing and payroll. So I don't actually handle any checks. I sign them once they're done, but I don't handle the money. So the whole thing someone brought up earlier that got to see what's going on. You folks get an audit every year from a CPA. So for me to get a grant at this council costs the ambulance for about $2,500 a year to have that paperwork done. So it's to make 52, we're up 25 already. So basically what I'm saying is I don't need the money tonight. I'm hoping we can squeak by for another month or so, but I wanted to be able to call someone and say, geez, we need an advance a week or so early. Can we do that? The fire district money should be coming in again, but we won't see that till October, November. So again, I'm trying to keep the ambulance corps afloat. I've been a member of the ambulance corps since '86. I've never made a dime. I don't get paid. I don't get a stipend. It costs me money to be here tonight. My time, my gas. So when people say to me, well, geez, we ought to look at what's going on inside the organization, come on down. I'll show you. Paperwork's every month. You folks get to see it every year. I'll show it to you every month if you want. We're just in a position, and I'm having a conversation with the fire district right now. We've got to do something as an organization. I've had a conversation with Valley Ambulance as well. We're trying to get together with them. We're all in the same boat. Read the articles, do some research for yourselves. Volunteer or small town ambulance corps in this country are closing. There's no money left. Volunteerism's down.
Oh, I know that.
It's a sad state. I don't pay, we pay, I guess, I think my EMT cardiacs make $17.50 an hour. $17.50 an hour, no benefits, no vacation time, $17.50 an hour. Basics make $15.50, not big money, not for risking the life every day. So when people say, well, that's a lot of money, it's not a lot of money. Down the road, we've got to fix our building. I'm trying to do that. I tried to buy a new ambulance. I can't do that. A new ambulance, $250,000 for a new ambulance. I bought a used one a few years ago for $40,000. We're still paying on it to upgrade the fleet 10 years. So what happens with that is you have a vehicle that's 10, 12 years old. What happens? Needs repairs, needs brakes. So you start spending, we had to put a new engine in one of ours, $25,000 later to keep an ambulance. So it's the $25,000 to keep it on the road, or we take one off the road. And what happens with that is, yesterday, we had a call in 95, car accident. 3 ambulances were sent. We only needed 2. But Hope Valley was sent out to another call. Their second ambulance was broken down. So now they start going to Exeter. This is what happens. So when people say no ambulance is available, it's coming to a town near you. So I'm working diligently with the fire district, and we're going to try to we've got to get more money from somewhere. And it's got to come from a taxable base. It's got to come from a guarantee, so to speak. And I know we've been to this meeting before, and you guys are in the same boat. You can't get money out of a stone. But people want to raise taxes, I get it, but somebody's got to pay. Scott, a few years ago, said, well, look what Exeter did. They enveloped into the fire district. Same problem. The fire districts don't want the ambulance force, because then their budgets are cut.
Historically, I remember when my father was up in Cranston, the ambulance is actually part, because it's a municipal fire department. They do the ambulance and firefighting both in places like Cranston.
Every other town except here, Hope Valley, Charleston, and Westerly.
My question for you, and I expect I'll be voting for this, is the fact that, is this going to happen again? As far as, I'm not trying to be a wise guy.
No. It's a fair question, Scott. Believe me, I don't want to be here. You keep hoping, and I'll give you a quick scenario as to why this happens. We took a patient to Rhode Island Hospital, advanced life support. The bill was around $4,000. So this is what our bill is. We have a billing company, and the rates are set. We can't just go, you know what? Scott, I know Scott. I'm only going to charge him a couple $100. Oh, it's Sharon. You know what? She's new to the town. We're going to charge her $3,000. It doesn't work like that. There's a set rate.
I'm paying an ambulance bill as we speak.
So
High and low and whatever it is.
High and low?
Yeah, up in West Greenwich.
Yeah. So we send the bill out, about $4,000. We get a check back a month later from the insurance company. How much do you think I got back? $328 was what I got paid. The client hadn't met their deductible. Their deductible was, I don't know, $1,500 or something like that. So we would have gotten, I think, $1,200. So we sent her a bill directly, billing company, for I think it was $1,200 or $1,500. Doesn't matter. She doesn't want to pay it. So what do?
You take them to court, I guess.
So that's, yeah, so it's small claims court. And you know how long that takes? So this is what we run into, and this is, again, this is a global problem. It's not just Ashaway, it's not Hope Valley, it's all of us. We're all seeing the same problem. If you go to a store and you buy a $4,000 TV and only give you $300, guess what? You're not leaving with the TV. 911 gets called, we have to take that patient to the hospital. And getting reimbursed after, and insurance reimbursements are at an all-time low. So this is what we have this year. Call volumes are down, insurance rebates or reimbursements are down, costs are up. It's a no-win situation. So am I gonna be back here again? Maybe. Again, I don't wanna go into next month, go, geez, I'm broke, I can't pay my staff next month. Unless I can, and I might make it for another month. We might be okay, but it depends. Depends on so many variables. I just don't know day to day. I mean, what happens when your car breaks down? You have two choices. You fix it or you walk. I don't have that option.
There's so much that this town has to look at, and but you know, usually I know you say fire departments don't like to be involved with the ambulance, but they basically more or less go together, whether we'd like to admit that or not. In municipal settings like Cranston, they're one and the same.
But we have to do that. I've had discussion as of a week ago that we're gonna try to set up some meetings and have that discussion. We have to, there is no EMS district anywhere. Doesn't exist. There's fire districts. Some fire departments, Ashway being one of them, can actually fund an ambulance corps. It's in the chart. Some fire departments is not the same. So we are set up in Ashway for that. But with that said, taxes are going to go up. You can't say, well, you know, what do you do? And if you do that and say, well, we're going to tax all the taxpayers of Hopkinton additional money, now what do they want? They want 24/7 EMS coverage, which means now you need to have 2 ambulances at least. You need to have sleeping quarters. You need to have maybe a paid administrator, someone that's in charge of all of these staff. So now that money that's, you know, I'm looking to survive right now. I'm thinking $200,000 a year. We could kind of keep going the way we're going for many years. Now you change it and you want to take it over, like the last town manager here thought that he owned the ambulance corps. He thought we worked for the town when he first started here. And I said, well, when are you buying my building? The town, we don't even own the building. The property, well, we own the building, the property was donated. The Graham family, I believe.
It might have been Cottrell.
Cottrell family, sorry, Cottrell family, yeah. So that was given to us, and we have to revert it back to the family if we ever just dissolve.
We should probably have a special committee in town eventually on public safety, mainly ambulance and fire, and have the fire chiefs and the ambulance people and just have a discussion so the town knows where we're going. Because I know in towns like North Stonington, for example, they regularly get support from the town government. And I'm not exactly how it is.
Well, their budget's probably $250,000 to $350,000.
But I'm just pointing that out, that I'm just saying is that, and that's something that maybe I'll put on the agenda or something so we can look at that. But, you know, it's, we have a part-time council, and people in Hopkinton are very conservative fiscally. They don't like to spend money, and I'm probably guilty of that. You know, I mean, there's not a lot of money around, but Sharon wants to say something.
I want to know how much money do you want, and I want Brian to tell me when we can get it to you.
So the next payment, I think, is $12,500 is the next quarterly payment. Yes, it's 60, 12,500. Again, I don't need it tonight.
Well,
I
but
want it-
I want to
so-
know
so-
when we.
Yeah, so
How far in advance could we do that? Could we do it this week?
Yes.
Then why don't we do it?
Thank you.
You know, I just like to say a couple of things. You know, thank you for being here, A. Thank you for what you do. I don't think, like a lot of things in town that happen around everybody, they don't know that you exist. You know, they only know you exist if there's an emergency.
Sure.
You know, I have 5 children. You know, I've had a child choke. I've had, you know, injuries that you don't know how severe they are. On a fall, a head injury, you don't know. But what I do know is you want somebody to show up. You know what I mean? And a life is obviously very, I mean, and you obviously value life because of what you do. It's very important, you know. So, you know, along the lines of Sharon, you know, I would, and along the lines of what Scott said, you know, it would be nice to, at some point, you know, figure out how we can fix all this.
This is.
You know what I mean?
kinda
So
why-
you're not here doing this. And, you know, if there was one thing, you know, that would be money well spent for the taxpayers, and people may, and again, I could be wrong. I've only been on town council for 9 months. I've been in town forever, but, you know, it's an eye-opening experience, right?
I'm sure.
So, you know, safety and health and being what you call it would be something. I mean, I don't see how somebody would think that was worthwhile. You know what I mean?
It confuses
Like
me.
for the cost of dinner, my life could potentially be saved if I needed it. You know, so I, like Scott and Sharon, would be in favor
I mean,
of.
and
of this
again,
time.
I'm open to meet at any time. And I think this is a discussion that should have happened a long time ago. To sit down and come up, so the town kind of understands where we're going. To say, you know, because if I turn around and said, you know, so what happens tomorrow? And this is how I feel. I feel sick to my stomach over this. I really do. I'm not a paid guy.
No, I get it.
I'm just a dad, and I take care of my handicapped father on Juniper Drive every night in Asherway.
Yep.
I'm just a working guy.
What I'm going
What
to do,
happens when the ambulance closes? And this is a real scenario. What happens when we say 2 months from now, we're broke. We can't fix that ambulance anymore. We can't pay the guys anymore. We go back, because the volunteer thing, I hate to say it, is almost non-existent.
Yeah.
And why? Because people are working 2 jobs.
I belong to volunteer organizations, and we are about a quarter full in
Like-
both organizations. And it is, you have to claw and scratch to get anybody. And then when you do, you're doing half of what they do because they're not totally committed, and it's difficult.
I'm going to ask for, I'm going to let Councilor Gary speak, but I have something I want to say.
Yes, sir.
First of all, Mr. Barron, I want to thank you for coming for us and thank you for what you and your crew do. I think anytime safety like this, or there's an issue like this that comes up for somebody like Mr. Perrin and his crew, or Chief Spizzato or Chief Palmer, safety, okay? People want to feel safe. They know that someone's going to come get their son or daughter who's choking. I know a couple of weeks ago, I was out in the field and I felt very weak and very thin. I was like, maybe I should call somebody who was smart enough to go in the house. But the point of it is you're 100% right. You know, the writing is on the wall. Okay. As small little towns shrink. And of course, we're just eaten up by the school. You know, you got to sit there and I forgive me for saying this, you got to shake your tin cup and try to get some more money somehow. So I'm fully in favor of this. And maybe when towards the next couple months, we could all sit down, maybe kind of pull our heads together, you know, get some more money, or, you know, come up with something so you don't have to. You know, let me just say this. These kids that volunteer for this, whether it be on the ambulance or on the fires or the fire trucks, are witnesses of some of the most horrific human tragedies you could ever think of. Okay. We're asking these guys go to, what's a fire department volunteer gets $62 a call?
No. There's a LoSAP program but they don't, the fire department members don't get paid.
I thought, okay, I correct myself. I
There's
thought
a
maybe they
LoSAP
did.
program, which is, and there's only a few guys that are even in that anymore. It was put together years ago, and it's like when they retire, you might see $100 a month or something. It's a trivial
So back,
Yeah.
so back to my thing, very horrific crash on 95 last night. You know, it's bad when they shut down the whole highway. Of course, Mr. Parent's crew responded, Chief Spizzato. So I think it would be best if Brian's good with it, we'll just go forward and give them an advance if they need it, and we'll sit down.
I have one more question. You say that it would be difficult to become part of the fire department. It's just, you're just moving the problem along.
So here's the scenario, Sharon,
Yeah,
is the money has to come from somewhere. So we say, okay, we need, let's say we need $250,000. Let's just use that as a round figure, $250,000. Do we tax the payers to the fire district, or do we tax the taxpayers to the town? It's the same,
know.
it's the same basket,
yeah.
but where does it come from? And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter to me. It really doesn't. All I'm doing, and again, you have to understand, my kids, I have 3 children that are all on the ambulance, and 2 of them on fire, but one of them's on the fire department a lot. My kids are 3rd generation ambulance and 5th generation fire department in this town. This is not something I started last week. I mean, this is like, when I say I embrace this, I'm here because I care. So again, my goal now, because I can't ride the ambulance anymore, I take care of my handicapped dad at night, so I'm not out on the rig anymore. So I never thought you could do it administrative stuff, but here I am. I want to make sure we stay flush. I want to make sure that ambulance goes out when it gets called. And we've got a fire truck, we've got an ambulance, we've got people on it. I don't care how we get there.
But the point is, I liked Scott's suggestion of maybe we need to have a workshop where you have both ambulances and the fire department together and
I'm down.
citizens
Say when.
and the town reps. But the point is, in the end, I'm not sure whether we were gonna still get the money.
I'm gonna ask the council president to put,
You know
I'm
what I
gonna,
mean?
Tim, come.
I'm gonna send the council president an email just for discussion purposes, so we can fulfill the open meetings law of how we want to approach this, either a workshop or have a committee or whatever. But I've never been a volunteer fireman. I used to be an officer of the Ashway Fire District, and I was one of the few non-firemen that actually showed up, because most of the people that go, either the spouse of a fireman or they have some tie, and I didn't, but there was not too many of us. I served 2 3-year terms as a fire commissioner, and also 1 term as a district moderator. But and the press really doesn't even pay any attention to fire districts like they should. I know they have some interest, but. So I'm going to send an email to our council president next meeting, just for discussion purposes, where we should proceed on this. The big question right now is, should we offer a motion of some amount to the ambulance squad tonight, or should we think about it and come up with an amount by the next meeting?
What we do is we make a motion to approve if needed, right? Would that kind of, I think that would probably satisfy it. I mean, I don't think.
I make a motion that the Ashway Ambulance Association get an advance for their quarterly disbursement. I make that a motion.
Councilor Geary, I second it.
All in favor?
First, aye.
Davis,
Marvel, aye.
Geary, aye.
And Moffat, aye.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you very much,
I
sir.
look forward to, like I said, a
100%.
workshop would be wonderful.
I mean, it's just
We have
my,
to start somewhere.
it's just mind boggling to me, because, when, and I just want to add a couple, comment after, it's just, you just take it for granted. It's just one of those things you take for granted, that the police are going to show up, that, the roads are going to get plowed, like, where's my,
Police department was part-time.
yeah, oh yeah, no.
See, I go back to those days.
Right. I mean, when I grew up,
State police
well, I
for
mean,
2
you
hours.
could get away with whatever you wanted from 12 to 8. You know what I mean? In the morning, I mean, that was, oh, the cops are going back to the police station. I mean, that's kind of it,
Time go.
That's how it was. I mean,
I actually knew his great grandfather, if you can believe it.
Excellent.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gary. All right, up next, item number 3 under new business is discuss and consider a date, time, and location to conduct interviews for applicants for the town manager position.
I think we,
Sorry, guys.
Excellent, thank you.
Mr. President, I think we talked about an executive session to do this at the next council meeting starting at 6, because we're only going to be doing two
2 interviews?
half-hour interviews.
Yes, sir.
So at the next council meeting,
6 o'clock.
starting at 6, and we do the 2 interviews, the 2 people we selected.
Is that works for everybody, right? Yeah.
So is it going to be?
Joe, you
Yes.
want me to make a motion for the record saying I make a motion to interviews for
It
the,
just says discuss and consider date and time, and location to conduct.
okay, I won't make a motion, and I will just say that 6 o'clock, the next council meeting, preceding the next
I'll
council
put, make
meeting.
sure it's on the agenda and get
Okay,
it to happen. Excellent. So up next, number 4 under new business. Discuss and consider setting a hearing date for a proposed ordinance amendment to Chapter 20, Traffic and Motor Vehicles to add Article 4 relating to the use of recreational vehicles introduced and sponsored by Council Martin.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. On behalf of the Hopkinton Land Trust, I'm introducing and sponsoring this amendment to the town ordinance, Chapter 20, Traffic and Motor Vehicles. The purpose of this amendment is to restrict the use of ATV-type vehicles on personal property when the operator does not have the landowner's permission, and on all conservation land managed by the land trust and others, to prevent damage to trails, fields, parks, etc., as well as protecting hikers and other users from potentially hazardous encounters.
Question.
Sure.
Definitely align with you, Council Marble. Has there been an uptick or anything like this, or people riding on town land or land trust
I
land?
don't know about an uptick, but I do know that there is an ongoing issue with ATVs.
I know, I hear them every night go by.
well, I
so-
think they do that like in the beach when people have dune buggies and they go over the sand dunes and wear them down. I just hope that that when we do that, they put up signage so nobody can plead ignorance that they shouldn't do that. People had common sense, they wouldn't, but that common sense is not common.
I'm aligned with it.
All right, so next up would be to consider a date for the hearing. So this needs to be advertised. I think I think Lisa had said 4 days. So I don't know if, for a September meeting, maybe our first meeting in September, we could put it on there.
Yeah, I think the first meeting in September would be good. People will be back from, their summer activities, and that would be good. Do you think the first meeting would be the first Tuesday because Labor Day, so it would be that Tuesday? Is that agreeable?
So it would be, but it would be, September 7th. Because there's 5 Mondays in August, Scott.
Okay,
So we get a week off.
okay.
So September 7th sounds good? All right, all right, that's all taken care of. Up next is boards, commissions, and committees. Number 1 under boards, commissions, and committees is discuss and consider and possibly vote to accept Francis Ethier's resignation from the Juvenile Hearing Board. Scott, do you know Francis? Or Miss
Yeah,
Ethier?
I do. I haven't seen her lately. I believe that she used to be a police officer for the DEM, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong on that, but she's
She might live on my road.
Francis with an E.
Does she live on Diamond Hill Road? Do you know?
I think she lives locally, but I think she was law enforcement for the DEM. I could be wrong on that. So anyways, did somebody make a motion to accept?
No, they did not.
I make a motion to accept with regret the resignation of Francis Ithia from the Juvenile Hearing Board.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Hurst, aye.
Marvel, aye.
Davis, aye.
Gary, aye.
And Moffat, aye. Up next, number 2, discuss, consider, and possibly vote to appoint Melissa Perry to the Recreation Commission. Any discussion?
No.
Do I have a motion?
I make a motion
Oh, I'm sorry.
to appoint Melissa Perry to the Recreation Commission.
Excellent.
I
Hurst,
second.
second. You got a second? You can, I'll let you have it.
It's okay. You take the floor here, Scott.
I was born the day after her father.
All right, so we have a motion and we have a second. All in favor?
Hurst, aye.
Marvel, aye.
Davis, aye.
Mr. Gary?
Gary, aye.
And Moffat, aye. Up next, number 3 under boards, commissions, and committees. Discuss, consider, and possibly vote to accept Lydia Lanfear's resignation from the Conservation Commission.
Mr. President, I'm going to be voting against this. I'm concerned about the state of the Conservation Commission. With her resignation, we'll be down to 3 members. I did bring an application to someone in town, and I think we should take note of her resignation, which stated that it was a privilege to serve the town, but it's no longer a privilege. And I know she's been very supportive of Harvey Buford, who recently resigned, and in the spirit of giving her some public support, I'm going to vote against accepting the resignation. Thank you.
Anyone else? Do I have a motion?
Yeah, I'd like to say something too.
Oh, sure.
I'd like to thank, I'm sorry, I don't have my package in front of me. The counselor's got it. The solicitor, rather, I'm sorry. I too second I agree with Scott on this. I mean, it's just, a lot of people spend a lot of time on boards and commissions. You hate to see them step down for whichever reason may be, but I vote against accepting resignation.
Well, before I vote, I'd like to just thank Ms. Lampier for her efforts and her time on the Conservation Commission.
I think my no vote will be a testament to my feelings toward Ms. Lampier. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to accept Lydia Lanfear's resignation.
Do I have a second?
And I will say the reason I'm doing this is I've never heard of anybody, if they write a letter of resignation or say they don't want to be on a commission anymore, I don't understand why. I mean, they took
Why you
their
have to
time
vote
to
on it?
make
No,
that.
that's
No,
true.
no, they took their time to make that decision. I think we should honor their decision. That's my viewpoint. It has nothing to do with whether I, would love for her to stay or not. That's.
No, I get it.
I want to make that clear, so that's why I'm making the motion.
Is there a second?
Turn it on.
Am I on? Speak up.
Yes. Yeah, your mic's off.
It's off?
Yep, go forward. There you go.
It still doesn't do
No, it's forward is on.
Yeah, it goes into it.
Okay. Anyway, I make a motion, that is good, to accept Lydia Lanfear's resignation from the Conservation Commission.
Do I have a second?
I will second with regret.
All in favor?
Hurst, no.
Gary, no.
Davis, yes.
Marvel, yes.
Moffat, yes, with regret. Motion passes.
Mr. President, I move we adjourn.
Do I have a second?
I second. the motion.
All in favor?
Hurst, aye.
Marvel, aye.
Davis, aye.
Gary, aye.
Moffat, aye.
When's our next meeting? November? Yeah,
Our next
November.
meeting-
I mean, August.
August 16th.
Good date. All right, excellent.
Next Monday, you're retired, you get a day off.
Oh, yeah. I'll live down the street.
You know,
Yes, but I'm emailing myself a reminder right now to call you tomorrow. Oh, I just checked to make sure.